Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tony Chimmel, the GOAT of ring announcers. And you're listening to the Marks Podcast on YouTube.
Unfortunately, I am not here at the moment because I'm at work, but I'm sure this will be a great show without me. Going to talk about Saturday night's main event. Going to talk about what really happened with the Benoit tragedy. I don't really know. I mean, the jury's still out there. We don't really know who really killed Nancy and Daniel Benoit, but who knows? One day we'll find out. Anyways, this is the Marks Podcast. Also, just a disclaimer, I want to give, my condolences to every single member of the Benoit family. I don't mean to make these jokes, but, well, I kind of, that's just being disingenuous. I apologize. The views of one Jacob McGovern do not necessarily reflect the views of every member of the Marks Podcast. Anyways, yeah.
And with that, welcome to the Marks Podcast. Jacob is on assignment, of course, and by assignment, he's killing it at work. And I know, we always made it very clear that we wouldn't do it unless there's three available. This kind of just popped up out of nowhere. So I feel ridiculous because somebody here didn't get the memo. I am Dan the Flying Jalapeno, joined by the inside man, Gerard Millette. What's going on, Gerard?
Oh, not much. This is going to be
I don't want to hear a fucking word with it. I can't believe.
All I got to say is, for those who are watching, tonight's going to be a very interesting, important, and Dan, by the end of the show, I have a special announcement to make, and that's all I'm going to say.
As long as you ran it up by the lady in charge, man. I don't fucking.
She don't even know about it.
Oh shit. Okay, well, all right. And welcome, guys. What's up, Ulysses? What's going on, brother? And yes, I agree with you. The fucking Winged Eagle belt was the highlight of the show for me. And that's a damn shame that a fucking 5-second clip of a belt is the only thing I can tell you that I liked about it.
You know, the one thing about that clip, the one thing about that I will say, they mentioned Hulk Hogan.
That, I have to say in the chat, we do have the one Jacob McGovern.
Yes.
Love you guys. Got a quick bathroom break. I had my feather boa and everything. Well, I have my tie-dye for you, my brother. I'm wearing tie-dye. I have the colors of tie-dye on my body just for you, Jacob.
And I will say they gave Hulk Hogan credit for bringing the wing title out. I will give him that. And they mentioned, how it happened at the main event in February of 1988. So I will say, I'll give him that credit. They acknowledged Hulk Hogan. He looked very professional, and he carried that title well when he had it. But I honestly think Savage took that wing title belt to a different level.
Of course.
Okay. But with that talking about, do we want to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of last night? And where do we want to start?
Dan? We'll start with the matches and break them down as we.
So we'll start. So you want to start with the bad?
Yeah.
Because when I say the good, the bad, and the ugly, the good would be very short talk.
It was all around. It was just disappointing to me, and I'm not trying to hate on anything. I'm not trying to hate on anybody's fucking whatever, but it just. Let me get the card set up here.
Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. Sammy and Drew McIntyre.
Matt, what were you watching? Was it that bad that you decided that you were going to watch something else?
That's why it was bad.
Saturday night's main event, we kind of knew there wasn't any title changes, but we got the Winged Eagle return. and a new Women's United States Champion. Okay, like again, there are some things that I'll say were fucking fabulous as far as the show went, but a majority was bad. But like we're saying, Sheamus, I'm Mr. Sheamus. See what you did? See what you fucking did? Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn.
The match itself, I thought between the commercials wasn't a bad match. The only problem is the amount of commercial time you're away from the match. What'd you see, a 3-minute match?
I saw more shit about Estee Lauder than I saw about Sami Zayn getting his ass whooped.
And you know,
and a man as fabulous as me does not need Estee Lauder.
I understand when you're doing live and you're on prime time on a Saturday night, they got to pay the bills. But they should have found a way to talk to NBC and say, listen, take a 4-minute commercial after every match, but we can't be doing 4-minute commercials during the match.
Well, I'll even say this. It was mentioned on a podcast. I was a group of guys that I talked to last night. Check out the Brant and Rave podcast, lovely gentlemen. But even putting it in picture. Why the fuck was the main event only on picture-in-picture?
But then and it wasn't every time it went to commercial either.
But I mean, my thing is this: even look, that wouldn't have fixed the situation, but at least I could see what I'm here to see. Saturday night's main event.
Well, and that's why I'm saying we're back. If you want to really go old school, there wasn't never that many commercials. But after the match was over, you had time to go to the bathroom, get something of a snack because you knew it was like a 4-minute commercial break. And so
I could look. This is how the commercials worked in that first match, second match, and every other match. They would come out, they would lock up for about a minute, and then I knew I had about 5 minutes to go take a shit.
Shit, shower, shave. Some of them commercials are that long. Thank you very much, by the way, Monty. It's one of those things to where I understand you haven't done a show in a long time, but you're not new at this. You're not new.
But again, it didn't. In my opinion, watching again, and everything here is based on opinion and our speculation, right? You're the one who's actually been involved in business. I'm just a fucking mark, right?
Right.
I watched this match with these two guys going at it, and it did nothing for the story of Sami Zayn versus Sheamus. I mean, Drew McIntyre. It did nothing for it.
Well, maybe it does. Like I said, I was getting so infuriated because just as I'm getting interested, I get another commercial. They come back, you have it for another 3 minutes, you go back to another commercial. How am I supposed to get interested in a match where I'm watching more commercials than I am watching action in the ring? How? I felt like Saturday mornings all over again. You know, I felt like we watched 3 different matches in one match. And unfortunately, that's in NBC by the one they do on January 25th, they've got to find a way to better do the commercial spots. Like I said, if you give me a whole match and then go into a 4 to 6 minute commercial thing, I got no problem with that. Stop taking away from that time in the ring, because what's going to happen is whatever the rating was last night, I bet you because of commercials, people just said, hell with this, I'm going to change the channel.
Well, and I put it like this. I'll tell you right now how I feel. You don't like AEW as much as I do. I mean, you like good wrestling. So occasionally AEW might make you go, oh, that was all right. AEW could have got away with this because they're trying to, broaden their audience. And
who's watching?
Hold on. Calm down, Mr. Union Man. Calm the fuck down. You're the reason I got out of wrestling. Fuck. But WWE, who is printing money at this point, hand over fist, there's no need for a cash grab there. Had no reason to make this giant cash grab, which is what it is. And when I tell you, ladies and gentlemen who are watching this, anytime you see a commercial, that is another coin falling into the pocket of WWE. They didn't need it. They're making money at this point. We're like, oh, I wipe my ass with $100 bills.
How much did they? Here's the thing. How much did NBC pay them for this Saturday main event show? Because remember, I heard Jesse announce how much. He didn't say his exact dollar figure, but he said he was getting paid more than the President of the United States to come back to WWE, which that's $400,000. So if he's making more than $400,000, I'm going to probably say it's probably a ballpark of $1 million to come back. If you're making that kind of money, Jesse, I understand NBC. And now how much is NBC paying for him to come back? How much of that contract is NBC? Like I said, in 6 weeks now, you got another one. I can almost give him a pass for last night if 6 weeks from now, they can change the commercials, how they do it a little. But if it gets worse, I don't care if they put on another Saturday main event.
In my opinion, you could also fucking turn fucking Jesse into AI, because that was a shadow of the man I once watched and adored as far as the Saturday Night's main event. That was not Jesse the Body Ventura.
Like I told you, I think by putting Pat McAfee out there, that killed Jesse the Body.
Good. He was look. He caught no laughter. He caught no the shit. He came out of his mouth. He looked like shit. I'm sorry. He's not Jesse Ventura anymore. Something about politics. Something must have fucked him over. I mean, the bitterness he had with the company, whatever it may be, that was a guy who got paid. Can we agree on that?
Well, we can agree, but I will say, being away from the company for 35 years, you're going to have nerves out there too. You know, they should have found a way to give him some kind of a Raw or SmackDown tune-up. If you get what I mean, give him some kind of.
I get you, but we're also talking about a guy that's been in the mainstream for years, even as a political pundit, whatever. Like he's not the Body that he used to be, and I don't mean that about him physically. I mean he's not Jesse the Body. He's not the guy that came out saying we're gonna have a great night, Gorilla, the flying jalapeno. He didn't do that. He wasn't that. He was just a guy who was just taking a paycheck.
Look, speaking of that, I would like to say that though. Tito Santana looked like he could have got back in the ring last night. I will give him that credit.
And who did we see else? I was going to bring that up. I thought about it last night. I'm glad you reminded me. The man that got you into the business, Mr.
Coco Beware was there.
Beware was there.
Coco Beware, but I'll tell you this: Coco looked a lot less better than the guy that was next to him, Greg Valentine. Him and Tito looked like they could get back in the ring last night.
That was a dark match. That was the dark match. That was Coco Beware. It was fucking Tito Santana versus Greg Valentine.
Yeah, listen, those two guys in their prime, I think would wrestle better than anybody wrestled last night.
And I don't think it was their wrestling. Granted, there was some spots, but I don't think it was their wrestling. We didn't get enough time to sink our teeth into the match. Case in point, the second match, which was, remind me.
The second match was Liv and Sky, Io Sky.
Io Sky is a first ballot to me, like in-ring Hall of Fame. She's just fucking amazing. Io Sky, and I liked her better as Io Shirai when she had that darker edge in NXT. It was it was a passable match, but they didn't get that time to shine because, again, commercial breaks. Well, I'm sure the in-ring, the audience there loved it, but we didn't.
I will say this. I got a newfound respect for Io Sky last night because I'll tell you one thing. She did have some botches in that match last night, and she recovered fine. But except for the knee kick to Liv Morgan's face, which to Liv's credit, she finished the match. And I thought it was good camera angle to when she got the pin, took the blood, wiped it off her nose. It was very good way how she did it. But once again, we didn't get to see a match that we should have saw just because of commercials.
And I'll say this: I'm officially done with the Rhea versus Liv program. And I love Rhea Ripley. I think she is the face of the women's division. I think she surpassed as far as like Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Bayley. I think she really is the woman to head that fucking division. But I'm over this feud. All right, fucking shit or get off the pot. I'm done. I'm done.
If this feud could go to a Rhea versus Liv solo and no Raquel Rodriguez, no Dom Mysterio, where could this feud actually go? Now,
where it should have gone 5 months ago, in the toilet.
I've said to people, if you could have Liv Morgan beat Rhea Ripley every way but a clean finish, a clean finish, clean pin, stuff like that. And all it is, and then Rhea just gets more angry because Liv keeps finding ways to steal the victory. You get Rhea's build. So when she finally does beat Liv, it comes across as much more authentic because she finally found a way to beat Liv at her own game. Look at the size of Rhea compared to Liv.
Yeah.
How in any other fantasy world does this make sense? It's like we go back to China versus Terry Reynolds. That's what this reminds me of. Liv Morgan should be being ragdolled, and I can't wait for the day we can see it, being ragdolled by Rhea Ripley, where Rhea's just shaking the hell out of her.
And she could, but I think Liv does an excellent job playing that slimy heel. I'll give Liv the credit she deserves as a heel, and with her and Dominic and all that other trash, she's doing great. I think this boa sucks, by the way. I hope you're happy about
well, think about it. Hey, you just said a slimy heel. What is Dom?
Again, he's a side piece for a slimy heel. He's perfect. He has become that perfect fucking like extra.
He's a slimy heel.
My problem with everything else, though, is it's gone on too far. It's gone on too long. I'm done. I'm done with this shit. I'm done with the fucking Rhea Liv program. You have all these other women on the card, as you've proven. You've got Damage Control. You've got other girls that are there that could be challenging. Liv is who's Liv beaten in her time? Her whole female title reign has been marred with no defenses.
It's called protection. She's being very protected just because of that. Like I just said to you, you could have her in the ring with people to where Dom just creates a distraction and Liv wins by doing something cheap. That's it. A cheap victory. The old school heel.
As long as it's over.
The old school heel heat I think for Liv Morgan would go over great. Here's your problem though. When she won last night, how much did that crowd clap for her?
None.
Oh no, I was seeing some claps. I'm saying is
because the match was over.
Yeah, well, that could have been too. Hey, listen. Not everybody's going to have a banger of a match, but I'll give Io Sky credit though. She did the best she could. Like, with this kind of match, if they put that on Raw with no commercial interruptions, is that a better match?
Yes,
probably.
But I also think that I'm more intrigued in seeing a Rhea Ripley versus fucking Io Sky match than I am in seeing a Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan match.
Who would you want to see Liv Morgan go against next?
Anybody.
Because when does Asuka make her return?
That's a good one. I would love to see that, but I would much prefer to see Asuka versus Rhea Ripley. Look, it's great to be a slimy heel. It's great to be that guy, that person that's going after that particular heel champion. You're always in it for the chase. But at the end of the day, me and you are fans who want some good fucking wrestling, and we did not get that last night. We got a spot here, a spot here. Oh, Estee Lauder, a spot here, a spot here. Doritos, we didn't get quality, and I think that the commercial breaks, as well as the setup of the match and the program itself, did nobody any favors on any match tonight.
Well, you notice one of the things last night too is the referees seemed like they weren't into it either. They seemed like they were missing their cues and spots too.
It was a whole different setup, but does that go to, is that NBC's fault or is that fucking WWE's fault?
Depend on who, depend on, like you say. So if NBC paid WWE $10 million for that show last night, they didn't care if it was sold out or not.
Again, that's bullshit.
Right. Listen,
I'm covered in pink feathers. I want you to know that. This fucking shit shed like a motherfucker.
Here's the thing. When you shovel shit to people and they keep buying that shoveled shit, you're gonna keep shoveling the shit to them.
I'm just hoping this is not par for the course now, because again, we talked about it. War Games Survivor Series was not their best showing. Now they've had great showing after great showing after great showing after great showing. This is the second prime time big event they've had that's kind of been very mid. And I just don't want them to be slipping back in their old ways.
Hey, you know what? To sum it up last night, I'm going to use a Biff Tannen quote. Manure. I hate manure. Well, last night was a lot of manure.
Yeah, it was a bunch of bullshit, and I don't know. I'm taking.
And then, you go from that. You go from that women's match. Then we get to the triple threat match.
Yeah. And you know what? To start out that triple threat match, I'm going to put it like this. I loved the entrance of Finn Balor. He looked like a fucking degenerate scumbag. He's fitting that role perfectly. He came out there in his fucking bath towel fucking covering, the mask covering. It's I like Finn Balor. I like that.
Before I go on that, there was one thing the one thing we forgot to bring up is I love the old school entrance ways where it was only 6 feet wide and the fans. I missed that. I loved how they had it set up last night. I like the fact that the security actually let the wrestlers walk to the ring, and let the interaction with the wrestlers happen with the fans. It really bringing back to my childhood, and the way the wrestlers themselves handled it, I commend them because a lot of them have probably never been in that situation before to where the fans were that close. So I'll give them their credit to where they handled the entrance well. And that really bring back an old school feel. But other than that, when it came to that,
I think they handled it well because if you think about some of these guys in their indie programs they were in when they were fucking doing the indies, Gunther was in those indie stuff. Finn Balor was in that indie fucking program, that style where the fans could basically reach out and touch you. But watching Finn come out there, pull up his coat a little bit, he played the heel. Watching Damian Priest, who was booked from New York, even though I think he's from the Bronx, but he went out there and he interacting with the fans. But the one that really made me go, that's a bad motherfucker right there. He knows how to play to the crowd. If you watch Gunther walk out and if they touched him, he pulled his arm away like,
the old school heel, yes.
You filthy trash. Don't you touch me. I'm the ring.
Liv Morgan did the same thing. My thing about that is, you said you grew up going to the Sportatorium. Sportatorium, you didn't know what a barricade was. It was a rope.
Again, and we're talking when I went, it was already world class. It was already, it wasn't world class anymore. It was a USWA. I didn't know that being a fucking 5-year-old and going, oh my God, it's wrestlers. It's just, it felt like that old school feel with a WWE touch. But I always get worried when WWE gets their hands on something, unless we, remember WWECW. They want to put their fucking touch on something, but this is one of their original babies. So I guess it was in better hands.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You had those rope barricades to where, you'd see people, you see the shots, everybody wrap around the rope and stuff like that. Like, what is it really protecting you from?
Yeah. Now,
the old barricade, the old bicycle rack barricade leading up to the ring, that was nice to see again. But then you still had, but then you went to the hockey boards and stuff like that. The red, white, and blue ropes.
I text you about that because I knew you were gonna fucking, no pun intended, mark out for that shit.
Like I've said before, and I've said the old school WWE ring. They had the corner pads. I wish they would have just used the old WWF logo for one night. But
they have their mock-up version of it with FEF on it.
Yeah, they got the F out last night. No pun intended.
I should have got the F out last night.
So the old school ring feel, I thought they shouldn't have put any of the electronic boards on. Just went to the old blue curtain around the ring. No electronic boards. Just go total old school with it.
Yeah, but you're a boomer, so of course you want that.
It just looked so much better back then. But to go back to the triple threat, this once again, the damn commercials took away from the match.
It did, because that was Gunther's time to shine. I thought that of all the matches last night, that was the best. I think that they handled it well. Gunther looked strong. Whenever he started getting chopped back, and oh shit, Damian Priest looked like a viable threat. Finn Balor was that slimy piece of shit who kept just coming in like a damn bee sting, constantly fucking with you.
Gunther, I thought he was going to slam that kid through the canvas. Oh.
Yeah. And every time you thought that Damian Priest was going to get something going, here comes fucking Finn Balor. I mean, it was a perfect contrast of three different styles. They put a whooping on fucking Finn at the beginning because both of them want to beat his ass. Yep. Gunther had that fucking frustration that you cost me this match, you cost me my status as being a badass because you interfered. I can beat him by myself. I don't need you. You have Gunther. I'm sorry. You have fucking Damian Priest who you know what? I have to retract something. You know, earlier, whenever he was champion, I used to give him shit, saying, man, he'll never be a viable fucking champion. I'm rooting for Damian Priest now. Not a fan of his ring gear, but I'm rooting for the man.
Well, and how you say that, some guys are better without that title, because the title will drag you down. It drags you down because now you got to behave in such a way to where you're no longer the chasee.
Yeah.
So, you know, some of your greatest wrestlers of all time never won that title, a la Mr. Perfect. But watching him go after that title was more entertaining than you say, what if he had it? When he was the Intercontinental Champion, you wanted him to lose it because how cocky he was with it.
Well, and I'll go back to, you know, the era of The Rock. When The Rock had the belt, you wanted Steve Austin to beat his ass. And I think Steve Austin, who was by far considered one of, if not the greatest of all time, his best run was during him chasing the belt.
You know, I'm glad you bring that up because we're probably going in on right around the 25th anniversary, or maybe a couple of years more, of the night where Austin took the Intercontinental title and threw it up into a river in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, where he had the scuba gear and all that stuff. That, to me, was one of the funniest nights doing that. It was an awesome thing watching him take that Intercontinental title, throw it into a river in, like I said, New Hampshire. And a couple years after that, I was doing a show with Kurt Angle and Jeff Jarrett at a high school gym. And a guy walked into the building with that Intercontinental title because he was a scuba diver. He actually went into I hope I pronounce it right, the Piscataqua River, and actually got the title belt from the bottom of the river.
Jesus.
And so
we got a comment here. Roland Curtis off Vermont Avenue. Steve Austin is easily the greatest of all time.
Greatest what of all time? No. Attraction of all time?
Well, and this is where I'll argue because I'm not a big Hogan fan, and you know this. Everyone knows I'm not a big Hogan fan, but for the longevity that he had, Hulk Hogan can be considered the greatest of all time.
Yeah, see, like you say, if he's talking about moneymaker of all time, right? He's probably the most moneymaker of all time. But the greatest of all time.
Thank you, by the way.
I'd put him in the top 5 definitely, as in, you know, with the fans and stuff like that. But longevity, you're going to go to Hogan and Cena.
Again, I'm not a big Cena guy, but I mean, Cena, like, again, he was the top of the card for how long? And some of it was fucking painfully miserable, but Cena was at the top of the card.
I mean, of course, you got to go with the guys who are making and bringing in the money. And like I said, I can the top 5 to me, number 1 will always be Andre the Giant. Then you can go Hogan, Austin, Rock, you know, Cena.
Oh, Bruno Sammartino for years was the man.
Here's my thing for Bruno, though. When it comes to, if you could do a dollar for dollar, what would his dollars for dollar be?
Oh, no, I think if we're going for dollar, we're going fucking moneymaker over moneymaker. You can't deny Steve Austin. Steve Austin is still cashing checks right now for fucking WWE.
He makes more retired than I think me and you will ever do alive.
What? Yeah. I mean,
you know, and when you see what these guys did back then, what they did for the business to change the business, guys today who are getting in that ring, they got to put more of an effort into the in-ring work than guys. Because listen, vignettes back then used to sell you. Your in-ring work could be mediocre, but if you could hit a home run with a vignette, you didn't need to worry about.
I got a perfect example. WrestleMania 17, Rock versus Austin, Limp Bizkit, My Way, one of the greatest promos for a match ever. You know, that song was just booming at the time, and then you have the 2 biggest stars in your company. I don't need to beat you. He goes, I need to beat you, Rock. I need it more than anything in the world. I need it more than the air I breathe. I need to beat you. And it just, to the backdrop of that song, another great one, I thought, Daniel Bryan going against the fucking Alliance, or not the Alliance, he was going against management But the song Monster, one of my favorite songs of all time, written by Imagine Dragons, and the build-up to the Yes Movement and everything this match meant for him to prove that the little guy, the bearded little goat man that he was, he could beat Batista, he could beat Randy, he could beat Triple H.
Let's go back to that. Is Hogan who Hogan was without Eye of the Tiger?
No.
That was huge. You had Eye of the Tiger. You had Rocky III come out, talk about capitalizing on a situation. And the only reason why he became with the Real American song, because Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda, one of those guys got hurt and they couldn't use the song. So they said, okay, we'll just give it to Hogan. And look at what, and Rick Derringer says, I wish I could have copyrighted the song and got royalties off of it.
Well, and going back even further, well, not further, but past that, was Macho versus Hogan better without the vignette and the image of, I see your lustful eyes, I see the way you look. Again, that heat you build, like, does that make those stars? Does, again, Austin 316 says, I just whooped your ass. You don't remember anything else from that one promo at the King of the Ring. I do. I remember, maybe you go back, thump your Bible, dig up some of that old courage you had, get a cheap bottle of Thunderbird, and, you know, back then, you know what that fucking meant. Look at the swill, and find some of that courage back in your prime. That, my dad, I remember sitting there, and I was like, I didn't like him because I'm a kid, and he's a bad guy. And my dad got, Mijo, that's the man right there. That's the fucking man right there. And then later on to go on and watch him in the Royal Rumble, and everybody saying, that's the guy.
Him doing that thing when he's sitting on the ring, looking, faking like he has a watch.
The fucking push-ups. And then the look on his face when Bret Hart comes out. If you put an S in front of Hitman, you'll have exactly my opinion of Bret Hart.
You know, to go back, I mean, when you think about all that history right there, we just talked about, and then you see what we saw last night.
Mm-hmm.
Last night's show did not reflect the history of the show.
I understand trying to, no pun intended, turn the page and go to the next level of wrestling, but that was not putting your best foot forward. That just felt like a cash grab to me. And
like I say, if you follow it up in January to what you did last night, absolutely. But listen to your fans a little bit. Cut down on the commercials. Like I say, have the match, then have the commercials, and then come back. Then people were like, okay, I got 4 minutes. I can go to the bathroom, stuff like that, grab another beer, grab some snack, and then I come back and sit again.
There was a time when the Saturday Night's main event was meant to be something big. Oh my God, you guys, Saturday Night's main events come on, we got to be there. This didn't do that. I will say this, going back to the match, I think the right man won. I think there was great spots in the match for what wrestling we did get out of it. I think that Gunther, I wouldn't have mind though if Finn Balor would have won. I'm actually looking forward to another Finn Balor title reign. I want to see what he can do with that. I think he's suffered in the mid cards long enough. I think that he's proven that he deserves to be a main event player.
Did you get a hint last night though from that New York crowd that Gunther is ready to go babyface?
Cut down the number of matches, 5 and 2 hours with commercials. Is too many. I'm not arguing with that point. I think they are. I think they're thinking about pulling the trigger with Gunther as a face, but I don't know. Hold on. Don't you guys believe that Austin 36 promo from 1996, the King Ring, was the greatest promo ever? Some say it's the most important promo ever. Jim Cornette said it had the biggest impact. That's a hell of a
I put it this way. I would put that close to Bash at the Beach, Hogan coming out and saying, you're looking at the new world order of wrestling. Those two together, it's very hard to decipher which one was bigger on the industry.
I agree with you to an extent, but I also think what made that more important is that he told these fans, when he told Okerlund, these fans can stick it. That right there, that one moment completely changed the trajectory of his career. He could have said everything else and all that. That would have been fine. That would have been completely fine. Oh, no, it's just Hogan being a bad guy. But the guy who had told me since I was a baby boy to eat my vitamins, say my prayers, all this stuff. You told me all this stuff. Now you're telling me as a guy who loved you and you were beloved and you're one of my – I wasn't a Hogan fan then. But to tell me to stick it. My dad – my father, who has never been a fucking mark, who's like wrestling for what it is, understood what it was very upset that night and said, and my dad rarely, my dad tried to live a straight, never rarely cussed in front of us kids, but he said, "Mijo, fuck Hulk Hogan." But he was upset.
But that's the thing. Remember, when Austin did his, he was a heel. Hogan did his, he was a babyface turning into a heel. So it was more on the lines of what Austin should have said, where Hogan, nobody ever expected it. And that's why I say those two right there probably had the greatest impact.
They changed the trajectory of two companies.
Right.
WCW went from being this fucking cookie cutter, character based. They rolled into, and again, that was truly the birth of the Eric Bischoff era of WCW.
Let me ask you this. Does that promo work with Sting, who they thought was going to do it? Does that promo work with Sting?
No, it doesn't, because as great as Sting was, look, as I've gotten older, I think Ric Flair is an excellent player. I think Ric Flair did an amazing job. And as far as ring, Ric Flair could get anybody over. I believe that. But Ric Flair will never be Hulk Hogan.
Nope.
I could go into a bar and at that time, maybe 7 out of 10 would say, "Oh, I know who Nature Boy is." Everywhere I went, though, I could go to a coffee shop, bar, anywhere. I could be sitting there pissing next to a guy in a fucking urinal. "Hey, brother, you know who Hulk Hogan is?" "Yeah, brother, I know who Hulk Hogan." Everybody knew Hulk. Hulk Hogan was wrestling.
You know what's sad is? Dusty Rhodes cut a promo on Ric Flair. And it took Flair 11 years to copy that promo. The one where in the middle of the ring, he drops an elbow on his own jacket, takes his clothes off. The passion that Dusty Rhodes in the Working Man Blues promo, it took Ric Flair that amount of time to show almost the exact same
hard times.
passion.
It's hard times.
Right. The hard times thing, the passion when he's dropping the elbow on the jacket, he's stripping down to his clothes, yelling at Eric Bischoff. What could Ric Flair have done if every interview he did had that kind of passion in it?
But at the same time, and I'm not knocking Ric Flair, he lived the fucking gimmick. He was too fucking drunk. Remember, I've spent more on spilled liquor than you've made in your entire life. My shoes cost more than your house. That jacket cost $5,000. That jacket cost $10,000. And that jacket, I don't know what that's wearing. I'd be ashamed to wear it. But he would just fucking go. That was his shtick.
And that was the thing, though, to where it's like, okay, so when we sit here talking about those kind of things, like the impact and the greatest, where you got to get that line over. And Hogan's lifted a company from a regional company and blew it into worldwide, where Austin's, the company that he was part of, was still worldwide. And you think about it, it took him another year and a half.
He made that. He took a niche audience and made it mainstream. Because you didn't see. I'm sorry. I mean, you may have seen. I go back. Ravishing Rick Rude, right? Ravishing Rick Rude. Hold on. Hard Times promo is memorable, but Austin 3-6 promo was a year or 2 years before WWF Attitude Era started. Yeah, he absolutely changed a fucking generation. Flair lived a life of living the fullest, wrestling and drinking every night with money and women. He did. Can't deny those statements. But what I was saying is, Rick Rude was on Regis and Kathy Lee years ago. Made Kathy Lee very uncomfortable. Walked up to her and she ran up the stairs afraid of Rick Rude. But there were wrestlers promoting an event. You put Steve Austin on Regis Philbin. They're mainstream. They didn't have to do all that extra shit.
Nope.
Steve Austin did that. he wasn't a gimmicky wrestler coming on there. You know, I go back to one of my favorite wrestler interactions with Arsenio Hall was Arsenio Hall and the Macho Man. Does the Macho Man cry? Oh, yeah, the Macho Man's cried. He basically says, I goes, I cannot remember the promo exactly, but it cut me so deep that when he said something along the lines of, the only thing that's guaranteed is nothing's guaranteed at all. Yeah. And I go back to that when thinking about the Macho Man. But again, it was those interactions with celebrities. Steve Austin wasn't rubbing elbows with celebrities at that point. He was the celebrity.
Yeah.
They wanted, it wasn't them saying, hey, can we come on to promote something? It was them. That's the difference. They weren't, Steve Austin, WWE wasn't asking them, can we come on your show? That show was saying, can we have Steve Austin? Can we make him into a cartoon? Can we use his voice? Celebrity Death Match. How many times was Steve Austin on there?
Yeah.
Because it changed a generation.
Well, not only that, now we can go back to, listen, I think his interaction with Tyson was better than Tyson's fight with Jake Paul.
Oh, God, that 5 minutes was better than the 5 fucking rounds that they had. Fuck.
8 rounds.
Whatever. I fell asleep in the 3rd round, so right. I don't remember.
So I'm saying, talk about changing the industry. Now, Hogan's promo prompted another company up to basically a little over an 80-week run as number 1. Austin's started a slow build to a company overtaking another company.
Well, and to be fair, the other company fucked up and made really poor decisions towards the end. Case in point, Halloween Havoc, DDP versus Goldberg. We didn't even see the fucking match because they thought they were bigger than Jesus at the time.
You know, and Vince used to always, people get on Vince, you need to change, you need to change. No, let them do what they're going to do. We're going to stay our course. We're going to get a little riskier. We're going to get a little more edgier.
Well, and I look at this. Here's the thing. I think ultimately the buck stopped with Vince to make those decisions, but I think Vince was at the point where he was throwing spaghetti at the wall. Yeah, do it. Yeah, do this. Yeah, do that. We're running, we're running out of options. Do this.
Well, here, the good thing about the Attitude Era, unlike today where everything is scripted, written down, no matter what you do, a lot of the Attitude Era was they say, hey, go read off the fans. We're gonna do our things off what the fans are doing or what the fans want us to do. We don't really need to write nothing down. We're just gonna let the flow. So when some writer comes out and says he was doing this, and this, you really weren't doing much because the crowd dictated where you went.
Are you talking about a certain bro?
Bro.
What's up, Jacob? We miss you.
Hey.
Love you, Jacob.
Let me tell you this, bro. But
we know how much you love New York, so
it was fascinating to watch it, okay? Because you had to be there on Monday nights, and if you could have 2 TVs watching both shows at the same time, that's what you wanted to do. Which gets me back to last night, to where you're watching that. I felt like I was watching 2 TVs because I felt one was on, that had wrestling on, the other one had nothing but commercials on.
This right
and
here
I was cross-eyed, and they were blended into one.
This right here is a great point. Do you guys always see wrestling merch in big department stores? I was born in the 80s. I don't remember seeing wrestling merch in department stores until I saw Austin 316 shirts on the racks. That is a hell of a fucking point. I
was in Spencer Gifts today, and guess what? One of their shirts was still one of the Austin 316 jerseys, still sitting in the store. Think about it. His shirt is still sitting in a store. Did I see a Cena shirt? Did I see a Cody Rhodes shirt? Did I see a Rock shirt, a Triple H shirt, a Shawn Michaels? No. I saw an Austin shirt. Not even a Hogan. Austin still sitting there.
And that goes back to last year at WrestleMania, right? Where they said that the Undertaker came out. It was supposed to be Austin coming out there to get into it with The Rock. And they said they couldn't come up to the right money figure for him to do it. And people got mad at Steve Austin for that. I say, fuck you. How much money have I brought to this company? If I say, if you say you want me, you need me for this role, you need me for this, how much are you going to pay me? Because I spent my entire life putting butts in your seats. I changed your entire company. I revolutionized wrestling as a whole. And you want me to come in for 5 minutes. You damn right I deserve to have whatever I want.
I think he should be able to write on a piece of paper his figure, and that figure get on it. Because why? The upfront cost, as you might know, Dan, might not be affordable. But the amount you'll make on the merchandise that you're going to put on sale for his one night coming back,
Yep.
you'll make that money there. You know you're going to make it back.
Look, if AEW put Steve Austin's going to be here one night only, they're going to sell out.
But the only problem is they won't have his merchandise.
Austin has stated he doesn't like traveling anymore. He said he's open to going this year because he'll be able to drive. I love that. And again, you're not paying just for him to fucking show up at your event. You're paying for him to get there because look, I got to be comfortable to do. You want me to do this? I need to be comfortable, right? You need to pay for my fucking inconvenience. Now, let me ask you this. We're watching Gunther. We're watching Damian Priest. We're watching Finn Balor. We're watching WWE. Is there anybody there that screams that kind of fucking popularity? I mean, you could argue Cody Rhodes. I'm not feeling the Cody Rhodes thing. I felt Cody Rhodes during the chase. I'm not feeling Cody Rhodes as the champion.
If you're asking me if there's anybody who's a must-see right now, with maybe the exception of Roman.
I was going to go there, yeah.
No, there's no must. There's nobody that says, I got to watch that one person. Is there talent that goes with other talent that would make it must-see? Absolutely. But how often are you going to see those two guys? Now, would I rather see CM Punk on the mic than CM Punk in the ring? Yes. I want to hear what he's going to say. Think about that. I'm at a part where I'd rather see guys what they're going to say than get in the ring and actually wrestle because, as we all know, Father Time takes a toll on everybody.
Absolutely.
But it shouldn't cut down on your promo skills. And the person I can, and I'm in, Paul Heyman. He's a new weasel, and he's 55 years old, and he can still grab that mic and talk like nothing.
You don't have to have the best body to talk. I mean,
right. Get me two, like I said, get me two guys that can cut the promo in there, and then they have a half-ass match. I can take that because why? I know they're up there with age. I'll give you a perfect Sheamus, not to mention his name again. Sheamus, at his age, he can still go in there and have a banger match if he's in there with the right guy.
Yeah.
Can't cut a promo to say.
Perfect example. The guy we were just talking about, fucking Gunther and Sheamus, had by far what I would consider the match of last year.
It should be the match of the year. That should have been the match of the year.
It was too old. It was an old grizzled vet with a guy who's right into his prime, and that old vet saying, "I'm not done yet, motherfucker. We're not done yet. I didn't hear a bell. Let's keep it going."
You being from the South, you notice I might not be good as I once was. But I'm as good once as I ever was.
Again, I think ultimately, at WrestleMania, I think Sheamus needs to take that belt. I think that would be a moment, and even if he only has it for one fucking night, I think he deserves it. I think he's earned it. I think that he's a guy that has been a company man for all these years. He had plenty of opportunity to jump ship. He never did, and he's put on. And I'm not trying to fucking like suck him off, but I think that banger after banger after banger. Sheamus has come out time and time again in an era when John Cena ruled the world. There was an alternative. You had your CM Punks, but before CM Punk, you had a Sheamus who came from the ECW side of things, beat John Cena in a tables match, and proved that he was a legitimate fucking powerhouse and still doing it. No, the only other person I could say has been doing it like that is Randy Orton, and they've had some hell of a match. I mean, Sheamus deserves that fucking belt. That's the only one he hasn't gotten. And I hope they're waiting for something big to give it to him because he's definitely been your guy.
Let me ask you this. So you give him to it for one night. Does it take away anything from him losing it after one night though?
No, because he's got a backing of a career that's been amazing. And if that happens, people know what it's about. Even if Braun Breaker comes back, takes the belt back off of him, if it is Braun Breaker that has the belt at Mania, it says so much for him to be like, you know what? Yeah, I pay homage to the fucking guy that came before me. And I understand that there's a lot of, you got to put the guy over. Sheamus isn't going anywhere yet. I'm sure Sheamus will do business when the time comes, but he deserves it. Before
I forget, I do got to mention one thing. I'm just glad that WWE didn't do this. They didn't have anybody come back last night for a return for a pre-recorded segment on another show.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad about that we saw no returns last night. that we're not going to see the person again, except they're on a pre-recorded show.
Got fluff. I hope you know I got fucking feathers all over me.
Well, that it's a timeless tradition to have the feathers on you. So no pun intended on the timeless. But, talk about one company's mistake to have somebody come out on your live show. Oh, and then we're going to have that person do a pre-recorded match for the next time you see him. How stupid was that?
I don't even want to go there with that. I'm not.
So, and the only reason why I bring that up, because now we get to the Michin and Chelsea Green.
Or how about Jericho showing up on GCW while they pulled Ricky Starks from the same show?
All that is called Tony Khan being a bitter man.
But, oh, no, I kind of agree with Tony Khan here. The way they talked about his father and him, look, that's my company. You want to talk shit? All right, run it by me. My thing is this, Gerard, you have a company, I have a company. You want to fucking bury me and you want to talk about my father? Come and talk to me first before you put that promo out, all right? Come say, hey, this is before you go to business for yourself, I understand burying me as a company. That's fine. You want to get yourself over, you want to play with the big dogs, cool. But come talk to me. Have the balls to come and talk to me.
How many guys in AEW put themselves over?
No, again, we talked about it. This is a problem with Tony Khan and nobody else. Somebody needs to be where the buck stops, right? Somebody needs to be the man in AEW. And look, as this fucking podcast started, I was the AEW guy. I was the guy that was saying, holding the torch for AEW and saying they deserve this, they deserve that. But they've done nothing but make my fucking statements fall on deaf ears. They have it's been bullshit. And hence the reason we're talking. I got the only thing that I can say about this week that really shocked me. Saturday Night's main event sucked. I'm sorry. I'll just say it like it is. But if we're talking about people running in, coming out of nowhere, where the fuck? Who had fucking Tessa Blanchard showing up on their bingo card?
Which bingo hall was she at, though?
She was at TNA, but TNA has made it look their partnership with WWE and going in again. I'm going into the Michin thing, like you said. They brought that up on the card.
Both women. Both
TNA World Champion.
And I will applaud WWE for that part of it, because that is totally Triple H. Vince McMahon still in charge. You never hear that mentioned. You never hear it. So I would definitely say kudos for mentioning it. It was
golf clap.
It was a nice, refreshing thing to do. But when you say that, and then you have the match that they had, I think that match goes over a lot better without Piper Niven having to be involved.
I like Piper Niven. I don't know. I like that big voluptuous woman. I think she's fantastic.
But Chelsea winning it without any interference. Now, when she wins it, the crowd got behind her.
They've been behind. And okay, so we're getting into that. With the last match, Gunther won. We talked about that. I think I told you I could have been okay with Finn Balor. Coming into this, before we go into the match itself, we were talking about entrances, right?
Yep.
I watched Chelsea Green come in covered in Chelsea. Yes. I watched Chelsea Green covered in Chelsea. Enough that Michael Cole goes, "Oh my God, what the fuck?" Like, and she plays that fucking role so exactly. Leland plays that character so fucking well. To watch her little hat, she's Alicia Fox going way back. Alicia Fox is Chelsea Green is everything Alicia Fox wanted to be, from the fucking hat to the swagger to everything she has coming out there, and you have the perfect heater with her. Look, she has done so much for Piper Niven's career, because Piper Niven was just another big girl in a fucking sea of big girls.
Well, here's a question for you. Are they letting Chelsea Green live what she's doing right now as a smack to Matt Cardona?
I don't think so. Because there's a lot of people that still like Matt Cardona in that company. I know for a fact. And I think that if they didn't like Matt Cardona, what they could do is they would fucking bury her.
How nice would it have been, though, if he could have jumped into that ring last night after she won?
I think that would have. I thought about that actually myself, and I thought that would have been a touching moment. But Matt Cardona is on his own journey, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, listen, he's with AEW right now.
Well, no, he's in Ring of Honor. That's you say
all right,
owned by the same, but again, Matt Cardona has done so much in 4 years, and I think that washing off the mask of Zack Ryder, the character, the guy who got pushed off, kicked in the nuts, you know, the guy who got pushed off a fucking cliff by Kane. They buried him so bad, and I do believe that was Vince's hand, because he wasn't supposed to be the guy. He wasn't supposed to be a guy that got over. But then you have him, Punk, and Daniel Bryan all standing in the ring, holding belts that they were never supposed to have. And I think that rubbed Vince the wrong way, and he was going to do everything he could to delegitimize the man. Matt Cardona went away. He became one of the top.
Matt Cardona, think about it. Matt Cardona was a made man on the internet without Vince's help.
Yeah, and that pissed him off, I bet, because Vince has been notoriously known for not being a guy who likes it when another fucking character comes in. Look what he did to Dusty. Dusty got polka dots. The American Dream.
And he worked the shit out of those polka dots. He did.
But Dusty got put in a position because he wasn't their guy. The only guy that I could say that came over back then, that Cardona wanted to be in the WWE, he'd be there. He's making so much money on his own right now, not tied to any company. Absolutely. I agree with that 100%, Leland. But what I'm getting at is, going back, I think Ric Flair was the only guy that got to hold the belt that was brought in that wasn't a fucking WWE stalwart, right? And he was the real world's champion. But that was a jab at WCW. That was sticking it to WCW. Anybody else, there's always been something else going on. I've done something, done this. You know, Matt Cardona got fucked. For lack of a better term, Matt Cardona got fucked. And so he decided, look at his work. He's the king of fucking hardcore right now. He's the king of the death match, you know? He's over there having verbal jabs with fucking, depending on what your opinion is of Jericho, whatever. He's going toe to toe with one of the greatest mic workers of all time, Chris Jericho. His time when he was in AEW, teaming up with fucking Cody Rhodes when he was still there. Cardona has carved bloody, whatever you want to call it, his way through the indies to be that guy. And if he wanted, they would hire him back in WWE in a second. Triple H would not pass up on the opportunity to hire Cardona.
Well, it's funny because, how long before we see Miro back? Do we see him back?
The best man?
Huh?
The best man?
Oh, like, does he come back? No, I can say he can't bring Lana back because him and Lana are going through a divorce.
I'm very sad about that because I thought they were a perfect team together. I really liked them.
It's sad. Their whole downfall was her announcing the real life engagement. That was their downfall.
Well, also when you make fucking Miro a cuck with Bobby Lashley.
So, yeah. Wow.
How? Hold on. I got to put this comment. How dare you?
Wait a minute. Hold on a minute. Wait till we get to that next match. We can talk about that when we get to the next match.
We will. But back to Chelsea Green. I think that it was, I take it back. I really enjoyed this match for what we got and the commercial breaks. I really did. I like Michin, and I think that she's a phenomenal wrestler, but she's not the same person she was when she was in TNA. I think when she was part of the Dollhouse and she was the character Jade, and they were just slimy, fucking horrible pieces of shit, I think she was good. She was a deserving champion there. But Chelsea Green, for all the shit she's been through, the whole you smell like trash thing that Michin started during their match in SmackDown, I think she did a fantastic job. I think she's deserving of this belt, and there was nothing more even for her, this slimy little heel that she is in Chelsea Green, being held up by fucking that heater of hers on her shoulder. I thought that was a beautiful ending to that story.
Like I say, listen, the classic Macho Man lifting up Elizabeth on his shoulders.
Yes.
I thought that was great. The way how Piper put her on the shoulder and stuff like that. I'm like, that's all that reminded me. It was Macho was Elizabeth. And
I go, going back, and then we're talking about the whole fucking week, right? On Monday Night Raw, this fucking turn we've got, right? I think you could turn Chelsea Green fucking face right now, and everybody would be on board.
Yes and no. They can get behind Chelsea. Do they get behind Piper, though? That's the problem.
See?
But that's the thing, though.
Piper, okay. I'll compare it to
And how long before Piper turns on her to get that title from her?
Hold on. Some people make some people better, right? Piper Niven has gotten better because of her interaction with Chelsea Green. When she walked up and says, "We're going to be tag champions. Let's go." Like, she forced herself on her. That was perfect. And then how close they've become. Like the Royal Rumble, where she smashed Chelsea accidentally 4 times in the match. It's a beautiful connection. But I'd be remiss to bring this up and not talk about what's going on Monday Night Raw.
Stop. You got to answer that.
Everything's up?
Then we got.
Hold on. Whenever you're ready, Jacob, you let us know. But before Jacob comments, I will say this. Monday Night Raw, we have the breakup of the New Day, kind of, sort of, ish. And how effective is this storytelling going on?
It's a very nice.
Is that him there?
Jacob. I'm hiding in the bathroom of my work. You know, I never claimed to be the most professional person ever. But
You're not the most professional wrestler?
But you know, I felt a disturbance in the force. I heard Chelsea Green was being talked about, and Chelsea Green is near and dear to my boners, and I just think I need to like let it be known that this was the right decision, probably the best decision WWE has made in like the last 10 years, putting the championship on someone who really deserves it. Like, we can talk about the bullshit, you know, Cody Rhodes needs to finish his story. Nah, this woman has been through the ringer. If you look at her old TNA gimmicks, like, this woman deserves her flowers, and it's kind of unfortunate. And I'm going to leave it with this because I really have to get back to the work. By the way, like, you know, this is bad. Like, it's sacrilege. I should not be doing this. You know, ladies and gentlemen, don't do this when you have a job. No. Like, the fact that Chelsea Green has overshadowed her husband in, like, the short amount of time that she has, man, for all you Zack Ryder fans out there.
Radio.
You know, hey, I don't blame him. He has the greatest job in the world because he gets to go to bed to that every night. But anyways, all right, this was Jake's Corner. You know, I gotta get back to work. Love you guys. Love the March podcast. Anyways, I'm still here in some form. Anyways, yeah. No, don't do this, by the way. Don't try this at home. Anyways, peace on the streets.
Well, that was Jacob, of course.
Wow.
Going to be a show without him, man. I'm so glad he's going to come in for a little bit.
So, well, you know, that takes us, I guess,
Yes,
to the main event of the evening. Because we can't say any more. He just put it out there. Why even bother saying any more about that? Let's go to the main event now. And by getting to the main event, we get to see the Winged Eagle belt, which unfortunately was the best part of the main event, was the Winged Eagle belt. Because of
that belt, I still have fond memories of the belt. My fondest of memories is watching WrestleMania. I want to say it was 14. Steve Austin at the end of the match, swinging that bitch over his shoulder on top of the ropes when he had it over his arm. And that was the image that was left. Steve Austin winning the world title. And he had before he got his belt, he was holding that Winged Eagle belt.
And the next night on Raw, he comes out with this gigantic new one.
Yeah. I was never a fan of that one. I'm sorry. It looked nice, but I love the Winged Eagle. The Winged Eagle was that of Bret Hart. The Winged Eagle was that of Shawn Michaels. Yeah. The Winged Eagle was one Hulk Hogan and Psycho Sid had. You know, I mean.
What it is the, I would say is the granddaddy, the godfather of title belts.
And after that, hold on, I will say this. Mr. Woman's Wrestling fan, I love Tiffany Stratton. It will always be Tiffy time in this house. And Randy Savage, of course. Yes, Randy Savage.
But now we go to the main event, and I will say Kevin Owens, I think, put a better story out yesterday than Cody Rhodes did.
When he went out and painted that fucking star on his face, hell yes. From the beginning of this fucking program to the end, starting out, he couldn't pull the trigger, and then he's fucking step on his leg and trying to fuck him up and everything. Kevin Owens is justified. He's doing it in a shitty way, but he's justified in everything he's doing.
And the thing that gets you good on that is the fact of they didn't over promote the fact that he bring out the title belt. And unfortunately for Cody, because he wore his jacket, you didn't get to see it for that long.
No.
And you should have promoted that belt, because you know what you do with the promoting of that belt last night? Go to WWE shop right now. We got it on sale. That's what you do.
Yeah.
Only problem is more people might want to buy that than your other one. The match, once again, even though you had the picture in the picture, it got taken away so much by damn commercials. If you have that match on a pay-per-view where you don't have to have that commercials, I think.
Thank you, Trips in the back. Thank you for that.
If you don't have that commercial and you have that match on a pay-per-view, it comes across so much better. What I saw last night, once again in the main event, it was watered down just because of the damn commercials.
Well, not only that, but I think the wrong guy fucking won. I mean, again, this is a perfect example that we talked about earlier. How many times does the guy have to challenge for a belt? And let's go back.
Hey, wait a minute. The win doesn't necessarily mean a loss for Kevin Owens, though.
So, okay.
Winning doesn't mean Kevin Owens lost.
I'll say this, and someone told me this while I was in the middle of talking to them about wrestling, that when the camera went off, he was out there and he package pile drived fucking Cody Rhodes. Why would you do that off camera?
They ran out of time.
They had time for 15,000 commercials.
That's what I'm saying. They backed themselves into a corner, ran out of time, and don't think that ain't getting played to start Monday Night Raw.
That's all good and fine, but you're talking about a move. Look, this is the only highlight I thought. You got to see a little bit of the man, the myth, the legend, Kevin Steen. Look, Kevin Owens is fine and dandy for those of you who like Kevin Owens. I grew up watching Kevin Steen terrorize Ring of Honor. What Jim Cornette once called the cancer of wrestling. Kevin fucking Steen.
Before you go any further, you can't use that term. Terrorized.
Terrorizing? Terrorizing. There, two names. Let's the deluxe smoking skull belt is probably the biggest reason why Austin is still number one. I don't know. I'm tired of it because Kevin Owens. I watched his documentary recently. They released it on the WWE Vault, and to see this guy who was no one expected him to get out of NXT, let alone be in WWE itself, right? And yet, you have this beautiful talent who's held a universal title, which didn't mean shit in the grand scheme of things. He was a placeholder for the eventual title they have now. And he's not allowed to really show his best body of work. When he was champion of Ring of Honor for over a year, and finally Jay Briscoe beat him, it was a moment in wrestling for us wrestling fans who, if you knew about Ring of Honor, he ran ruckshot. Him and the faction Scum just did so much horrible shit. They were like, you wanted him to get beat, and you keep seeing glimpses of this great fucking mic work, because no one's going to tell me that anybody has better mic work than Kevin fucking Owens, Kevin Steen. That man, if you just even during the match, the shit he talks
You know what you know what the thing about Kevin Owens is? Unlike a lot of guys who come across everything they say is scripted,
He's legitimate.
It comes across it's coming right from his heart. It seems like it's not scripted for him, which is, I think that's the way they have to have him be, though, because think about it. Kevin Owens comes across as a rugged individual, even though he's from some town in Quebec, Canada. That the word rugged.
Roland, what you just said there, I think you need to reverse it, because I think Kevin Owens is a far better entertainer and wrestler. Yeah, he's a better wrestler. I mean, if you want Cody Rhodes is all about glitz, glamour. This is not a dig at him, because John Cena did an amazing job in his time, but Cody Rhodes is this generation's John fucking Cena. I'll put it out there for what it is. Cody Rhodes is great at the spectacle. Kevin Owens is great at putting the fucking match together and making it fucking.
Kevin Owens can sell the story. Cody Rhodes can sell the entertainment.
Yes.
So, and I'm hoping people can understand that. One sells the story, the other one sells the entertainment. And here's the problem. The art of the sell is a long lost art. So you get a guy that can still do it, especially a guy the size of Kevin Owens that can do it. It's a special feeling.
They're going to fuck up. See, yeah, Leland said it right there. They're going to fuck up Cody Rhodes so bad that he's going to get Cena heat. And I'm really hoping that doesn't happen. Look, there is time.
If he wasn't the number one merch seller, he wouldn't be where he is right now.
But no, I think he's. Look, I think Cody Rhodes is amazing. I think his story is a beautiful story.
It's over.
Exactly. And I think that the era of these long-ass 2-year, 3-year, year-long fucking title runs, there's a place. Roman fit the bill. Roman had the fucking chops and the credibility to be a heel champion for fucking almost 4 years. I think that was fine. I'm not arguing that. I don't think a face should be a champion for more than maybe 8-9 months, a year at most.
My only thing is when it comes to that, Dan, is I'll say this. I want the title to still be legitimized by having too much change. And just in the heavyweight, you want to have your changes in the Intercontinental United States tag teams. That's one thing. But to keep the main title belt legitimized, that's important. Remember, here's the thing I want people to understand. Before Hogan lost the title to, he beat Yokozuna at WrestleMania 9. And he lost it again. But up until that point, there might have been 15 title holders in the 30 previous years of WWE. They had 15 title holders in like a 4-year run.
And I look, different times.
I'm just saying, you take away from the legitimacy of the championship if you don't allow guys to have some runs. I get you, but can people read the room? Look, you already have people chanting he deserved it. He deserved to get fucking package pile drived. He deserved to get his ass carried off on a stretcher. And you know what? How do you turn that?
You drop the belt.
You have Cody turn it.
How?
He turns.
Cody doesn't look right now. Cody doesn't work as a heel. I'm sorry. It just doesn't work.
But if you let him turn and say, I did all this. I did this for your kids. I did this and stuff like that. And this is
right now, it doesn't work. And look, there's you being in the business, you know this better than anybody else. Turning face or heel is not something you can do like that. It has to be a gradual change.
It depends on the person doing it. Because there's a lot of guys who can do it overnight because what's their natural persona?
Cody Rhodes is naturally not a heel.
Because I'll tell you this right now, Roddy Piper, he flipped overnight.
But that was different. He came in to the business super heel.
Yep.
And he didn't have the lineage that fucking Cody has to go back to. Like, how many times did Dusty turn heel? He turned maybe once that I can remember when he flipped up to the NWO.
Think about it. Hogan turned heel literally in front of our eyes.
Yes, but remember, they were booing Hogan damn near out of their arenas because they were tired of the babyface vitamin bullshit.
The yellow and listen, the yellow and red. And if you really want to think about that, from the time he turned heel till I'm gonna say the night he came down and saved Eugene, just before WrestleMania 23 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He to really get the people back on him, because he came out to save Eugene against Muhammad Hussein in the yellow and red, and he blew the roof off that building.
But to be fair, the night him and Rock faced off at WrestleMania 19, they blew the roof off. Look, it's arguably you can say the Rock had a pop in there, but no, they were there for Hollywood.
Yes.
The man the man had literally hit the Rock in an ambulance with a fucking semi truck. They still blew the roof off for Hollywood.
See, that's the thing too. This person's talking about KO giving Cody the stunner would turn Cody heel. But at the same time, you'd have KO getting cheered through the building.
But you don't want KO to get cheered. You want him to
correct.
be
That's what I'm saying. You want him being booed, but he would get cheered.
That's why the package pile driver. Look, this is the thing. Like, I'll agree with you this about. We talked about it before about AEW not putting fucking respect on the move. You have Will Ospreay getting fucking dropped on a fucking steel fucking step and still coming back, and what you had them carting out Randy Orton from a pile driver.
Yep.
Put some respect on the fucking package pile driver. That move looks, especially in the hands of Kevin Owens, will look devastating. He knows how to fucking the mechanics of a move. I go back, and I almost dare I say, Kevin Owens pile driving, like when he did it to Sami Zayn in a ladder match, they broke the ladder in half. Kevin Owens' package pile driver is almost to the level of 1980s Jake Roberts DDT. That motherfucking move, when you see it performed by Kevin Owens, woo!
Well, you know what the funny part is about all that is Jake Roberts doing the DDT didn't get him the heel heat. Taking the snake out of the bag and putting it on his victim.
You're going to tell me that him DDTing fucking Ricky the Dragon Steamboat on concrete busted his face open, didn't give him some heel heat?
I'm saying. Then they put the snake out. I'll give you another one. DiBiase, he beat his victims. What would he do? Take the $100 bill and shove it down his throat. And now, hey.
But those are gimmicks, right? Those are gimmicks. A move, one fucking move from Kevin Owens. That package pile driver looks fucking gruesome. But he always protects his opponents.
I can't wait till Monday night to see if we see it. But
as far as that match goes, we got some comments in here I want to do want to get to. Yeah, you know what? I saw this one earlier. Paul Heyman guy in the making. I don't think he needs Paul Heyman. I really don't think he needs Paul Heyman. But yes, I think that Kevin Owens is definitely in line for someone who could be a Paul Heyman guy. The whole, again, we talked about Saturday Night's Main Event. I think the whole thing was a letdown. I did enjoy the Gunther match.
Well, let me put it like this, Dan. It wasn't as old school as it should have been.
Glad you brought that up, because we're going to transition here. We're talking about old school. Great video gods in the background. You know, last week we did touch on something that another podcast brought up, and they seem to think they have all the facts, correct? Well, we want to set some shit straight. Hold on. I got a message from the back.
From the home office in Panhandle, Texas.
Hold on.
Uh-oh.
So I'm going to send you this, Gerard, because we got some business. And I want to... There's no arguing this. I just said it to you.
Oh.
But yeah, we're talking. Last week we kind of had a little bit of a discussion about another podcast who claims to be all knowing. You good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, all knowing and all seeing, and again, they can have all their fucking chutzpah and whatever they want. You know, they can say what they want. But I will say this: I think the notoriety and the legitimacy of this podcast is better. And once again, we're going to have to prove that here and now. Great video player in the back. Can we set that up? Right. Oh, what is this we have here, Gerard?
This is if I'm right, this is a Boy Scouts WWF match from 1992 in Shelton, Connecticut, that somebody claimed. You can see a lot of invert acts going on here by one specific person when dealing with Boy Scouts. Oh, and so what I would like to say is this woman that you're looking at right here, her name is Christine Joyle. For anybody who might not know, Christine, the last name of Joyle is actually Terry Garvin's wife.
Oh, my.
That is the wife of the former WWE Vice President, Terry Garvin. Oh, I'll tell you one thing. Video cameras back in the early 90s were not what they are today.
Do you see anything nefarious going on here?
I see a bunch of kids getting ready to... I see people bringing in chairs to set up for a show. I can tell you who that guy is setting up that ring.
Who's that?
His name is John D'Amico.
No.
And he still works for the WWE.
And you know all about this, being the guy who formerly set up all this stuff?
That was Big Blue. Oh, wait, hold on. Is that Big Blue? I'm trying to think if there's a... I'm trying to remember if the kid... Yeah, that's Big Blue. There's a... That still had a center spring. These are the Boy Scouts of America helping set up the ring.
Oh, they look like they're in danger in any way, Gerard?
Not to me. I'll tell you.
Sure.
That's a nice drawn-out video and stuff like that. You know, looks like we got about 10 kids around that ring, so give or take. Boy Scouts sweeping the ring. Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, he's in danger right there. He could fall off there. A concussion.
Well, they actually could. The kid might be about 80 pounds soaking wet.
It looks like he's watching his back, you know, because some shadowy figure might come and abduct him.
You know, oh yeah, well, I'll tell you. Look, you got the kid over there mopping the floor. I know who the kid is mopping. Once again, that kid mopping, that's his mother.
No.
Yep, that's his. The kid mopping that I just showed you was his mom. Hold on. I'm still looking for the criminal activity going on here.
Again,
I mean, other than
we're just trying to get a retrospective here, you know, because again, they're saying there's criminal activity, and who would know better
than the video?
Well, who would know better than a felon what criminal activity is, right?
The kid in the black right there is Terry Joyle's son.
Would that be the same Terry Joyle that known as Terry Garvin?
Correct.
Mopping up the mess that are on the floor. Right?
That's exactly who that would be. And wait a minute, in the background right there, that girl, I think I know her too.
Who's that?
That might be his sister.
Which would be his daughter.
Oh, his sister would be Terry's daughter, correct?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, I'll tell you.
We don't have...
Oh, wait a minute. I know who that is.
Who is that?
That's Danny Davis.
Yeah.
That's Mel.
No, the announcer.
Holy smokes. That's Mel Phillips. That's dangerous Danny Davis right there.
You see him attacking anybody, or?
No. I actually see him getting ready. Wait a minute. That could be me right there. Is it?
I don't know. You better than I do.
Oh, it looks like the jacket I used to own.
Well, all I'm saying is, like, again, the speculation was this whole event was filled with seedy activity.
Wait a minute. Can we pause that right there? That would be Terry Garvin getting a nice hug from his daughter. This is, wait a minute. That must be the criminal activity we're hearing about. A father hugging his daughter.
Again, we don't have photographs. We have videotape. And this videotape may not be.
Show this video. I mean, I don't know how you got this. I thought only one person had it.
I don't know. You know, we at the Marks Podcast, we have, you know, our ways of getting this kind of footage. Does that look like any kind of criminal activity going on here?
Hey, my God. That looks like a loving father and daughter moment.
Does it? Oh, no, I don't know. He looked a little suspicious there.
You know, maybe somebody never had that father-son moment.
Maybe. You know, some people could get very upset and bitter about that.
Like I said, the only criminal activity I see here is the quality of the video actually being shot. Wait a minute.
Is that Sergeant Slaughter?
On the WWF and G.I. Joe. And I want to say to you,
Is that Sergeant Slaughter telling you to
no to drugs.
say no to drugs? Hold on, pause that really quick.
There's Tony Garea.
Hold on. Just want to make sure, because again, this is supposed to be filled with inconsistencies and criminal activity, as stated by a known liar and felon. That, you know, that this is going to be something horrible. I mean, I was told by many people that this video was scandalous, and that, you know, all these horrible things are going to be on here. This eye-opening content with Polaroids of children in danger and basically smoking crack in the bathroom. But that was Sergeant Slaughter just telling me not to do drugs. Gerard, what am I to believe here?
Well, as long as he didn't spit on you, there was no criminal activity.
Fair enough. Oh. Is that the voice?
That is Mel Phillips. I tell you, he must be doing a double because for my thing, he's in the ring announcing. So what's he doing?
Well, if he's in the ring announcing, he's not out there doing nefarious duties, is he?
Will challenge Sergeant Slaughter.
Now, just so you guys know, this was all set up because Terry Garvin, his son was obviously a Boy Scout. His son was able to talk to, you know, the right people. Terry probably talked to Vince and said, hey, can we do a show at my kid's high school gym? This was done in the morning, and then we did a show in Boston that night.
Yeah. Tag team matchup, you will see the Beverly Brothers.
This is the Bushwhackers.
Their opponents from down under, the Bushwhackers.
Which I just saw that match at WrestleMania.
And of course, the team of the Repo Man.
Repo Man.
His tag team partner,
Monkey.
champion Ted DiBiase. Square off against the team of Virgil and El Matador, Tito Santana.
Ta-da! Again, who is that?
That would be me.
Pause that right there, if we could.
That would, no, that would be me.
That right there is a young, handsome, nefarious, and evil Gerard, the Inside Man Millette. And what were you doing there, Gerard?
Oh, I was probably putting up the tag ropes for the next match. But, you know, I'll tell you, I'm still looking for the criminal activity.
I'm feeling like it might be there somewhere. Well, we look, you know, there could be some violence here somewhere we didn't see. Maybe, I don't know. Could be.
You know.
There was some violence right there.
Yeah.
We got it. There was the violence.
The violence.
There was the violence. There was the violence.
You know, when I look at that and I heard about somebody saying, "Oh, I got this video that's going to show some very disturbing stuff." Can anybody tell me what disturbing stuff we just saw other than the video quality. Because
I want to put something else out there, because like someone said in the comment section that this is an important video, that, you know, how could we have this and what have you, and it's not because we're, you know, anything special. In fact, Gerard, if you don't mind, I'll just say it plainly.
Yep.
It's on fucking YouTube. This nefarious video that everybody's so needing to get a hold of and that everybody needs to see, that has all this horrible footage on it. It's not fucking Polaroids. That is actually Gerard out there doing his thing, is on YouTube. Gasp.
And just so that you guys know, what day, I think it was September 20th, the day I did the show in Worcester. I found out about this video September 20th. And I never thought I would need to use it, because it's an open shut, nothing's being done. But when you have a person on the internet who's trying to claim this video is damning evidence against a said person, and when you can look at the video, it goes for what, 2 hours?
Yeah.
I think it runs for a total of 2 hours.
Actually, hold on. Can we have the eye in the sky come in for a second? Ma'am, the beautiful, the vivacious, the lovely, Trips Delight Fantastic. How are you, dear?
I'm lovely, gentlemen.
So we want to run some questions by you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Where did you find that video?
On YouTube.
Really? Was it behind some paywall, you know, that you had to pay for, like an interview? Like an interview?
No. Open search for, I think it was WWE Boy Scouts fundraiser or something like that, and I think it came up.
Yeah. Did you? I mean, look, you're an outside. I mean, you may be my wife, and you may be, you may sometimes like Gerard, not always, but you may sometimes like Gerard. Was there anything, in your honest opinion, in that video, the 2-hour video, mind you, not the what we cut down there, that would, you know, show something nefarious going on, like those kids were in any danger, or that someone was planning something like an abduction?
No, and that's kind of why I wanted to put in some of the stuff with showing Sergeant Slaughter, showing the intro, showing that this was a valid, upfront, and honest WWF sponsored event. There was nothing nefarious. There was no behavior that was questionable. It was them setting up to raise money for these kids. It was a sold out event. They were lined out the door to get in. It was nothing but a positive, wonderful thing.
They were there to see Gerard Millette. They were there to see him put ring on
this podcast. But they had everybody, and they were all cutting their promos in the back. The Bushwhackers and the Sergeant Slaughter talking about telling kids to stay off of drugs and to be safe. And it was nothing negative, and it was not somebody running up, you know, an event out of the back of their van. This was a WWF sponsored event. So,
and like I say, so we did this show. I want to say it started at noontime. It could have been 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
It was 1 o'clock, I think, because they were talking everybody was already outside at 11:30 to get in.
Once we got done that show, this was the day before the Royal Rumble 1992. We had a show in Boston Garden right after this show. So we drove up to Boston, did that show in Boston, then went over to the Royal Rumble. So a Boy Scout thing that turns into, unfortunately, somebody wants to mention as saying, hey, this is, you know, criminal. He's trying to say that this should not have been allowed. You have a man's boss in the building. You have a man's family in the building. Every part of this video.
You have that man's children in the building. I think that's the other piece.
Yes.
Yes, it was.
It was also a Rumble where Roddy Piper won the Intercontinental title from the Mountie. Because the Mountie had beat Bret Hart like 2 days earlier.
You had no idea that video footage on YouTube. Well, and Roland, the reason why you probably wouldn't know to look for something like that is because you have other people in the same space who are going to give you a narrative that all of this stuff is secret and hidden and it's not there. They're feeding you one side of a narrative. And again, I want to make it clear. We're not trying to convince you of anything. I'm trying to say that don't believe everything you hear until you have all the fucking facts. And that's
Boy Scout Troop 3. That's the video, right? That's the name of it. Boy Scout Troop 3.
That's
Boy Scout Troop 3.
And
it's on YouTube.
The beautiful thing about this is that we have somebody here who is not of secondhand knowledge, not of third-hand knowledge, not somebody who heard it from somebody else on a cup on a string, not somebody who got a fucking smoke signal or a fucking letter in the mail, not somebody who went to a psychic who had them tell them after reading some fucking tea leaves, not somebody who had a dream and drew a sketch of it with a sketch artist. No, we have a man who was legitimately on camera as a young man there. How old are you there, Gerard?
I just reached 19.
19-year-old young man putting on ring ropes, putting on tag ropes for the next match because he was there, because he was in the building, because he breathed the same air of these alleged conspirators of crime. He's there with these people, mingling with Ted DiBiase, mingling with the Bushwhackers, with the Beverly Brothers.
Sherry Martel was there too.
Is that the night? Was that the day?
No. I told you that was in Orlando, Florida.
He'll remember that day for the rest of his life.
Hey, now,
was it sensational?
Yes. I'm gonna say, if you look at Lee's comment, heard it from a friend, heard it from. That's why I said, if you had that other clip that I asked you, but it's good to show firsthand account of something. And I would like to say,
but Gerard, they're not Polaroids. We don't have Polaroids. I mean, Polaroids.
It's a video I can actually talk about because I was there. You know, it's not like somebody else who was never at the building. It's not like somebody else who was never on a call sheet. It's not like somebody else who ever touched the ring rope, ever touched the canvas, ever touched the post, never put the ring together. You wouldn't know a wrist lock from a wristwatch if he fell over it. Okay?
Someone who's never actually been in the fucking business.
And more importantly, someone who never met that guy. And I'm talking about this guy right there. You know, that guy right there. Right there. He never met, me.
Makes a lot of claims about you, though.
It's
maybe he's not pro-union either. Maybe that's the case.
You know what the funny part is? The ending of that, you saw two guys flop like a fish from Sid Justice pushing them away.
That was violence.
Oh, yeah. You might get some heat from one of those guys. One of those guys was named Bill Dunn. The other guy who got thrown down was somebody's brother.
Yeah. Did he get upset about that?
Well,
or is that a story for another day?
Because listen.
That was Sid Justice. That was completely coincidental.
Like you say, hey, he flopped like a fish.
But the point is this, I don't.
That's video evidence. That's what you call true video evidence, not some picture, not some still shot that to this day, who took the pictures of?
What's going on? My thing is this. You and I, in all the time, we're what, episode fucking 12 here, 11, have never claimed to be journalists. We're fans. You happen to be there. I happen to be well-versed in the history.
But we do have journalistic integrity.
Absolutely. You, myself, and the kid, Jacob, we sit here and we talk about a passion that we have, which is wrestling. We've grown up with it. You were in the business. The stories that you and I have talked about and everything that you've always told me is matched up. You always have a way to prove this happened, this happened, this happened. And we never come out here half-cocked with bullshit fucking speculation. Any speculation we have is about going forward, what we think should happen, and what we want, what we desire. We're fantasy booking or we're, anything as far as the business itself. We don't come out here and attack a man's credibility who can't come out and defend himself. And again, I've said it once, I'll say it 1,000 fucking times. We don't come on here trying to rewrite a history without giving someone something called, which I thought was still alive in this country, due process. And I'm not here to tell you what to believe, all right? And neither is Gerard. I'm not here to tell you how to fucking see the world. What I'm telling you is that before you start making judgments and telling people they need to go to hell for believing what they believe, you need to hear both sides of a fucking argument. And if all facts point one way, I'm the first person to say, all right, justice has been served. But not until we have the truth. I'll be adamant. I'm very, very frustrated with the turn of events that happened, especially when a cliffhanger is left about, oh, I got this. I'll show you next week if you're willing to come and give me some clicks and views. You will never get that from this program. You will never get the fucking ideology that we have never accepted money from anybody here to do a program. We do this for the love of the game. Nothing more, nothing less. Have we received super chats? Yes. Do I go out and say that, oh, we're monetized, please leave super? No, I would never. I would never destroy the integrity of the man that's sitting right next to me, because we do this at the end of the day for love of the game. Wrestling brought us here, and wrestling is going to continue to push us forward. Not speculation and not bullshit based off the ideas of a conversation that happened between two relatives, one of which was never involved. Sorry, Gerard, I didn't mean to go on that tangent, but I'm very passionate about my friend.
Listen, I've said it before and I said it again. Multiple times we have reached out to somebody to try and talk to us. Multiple times we've been ignored. So to take it upon ourselves and say to this person and say, listen, I've had enough of you bashing somebody, first of all, who you never met. It's okay to have opinions about somebody. I can never take up somebody's opinion away. Opinions that you have verifiable evidence and proof of what you're talking about. We can all sit here and say Vince McMahon as a person could be the slime of the earth. That is our opinion. As a businessman, he's employed thousands of people.
I want to say this, Director, that point, what you just said, and I think that was beautifully said, because you and I don't always agree. And I'm not up your ass telling you that meeting you was the greatest moment of my life. I'm saying that I'm not personally a fan of the man that is Vince McMahon. Will never deny his contributions to the business, but I am not a fan of Vince McMahon. You have a different perspective because you were there. You've never knocked me or given me a hard time for having an opinion. And I'll leave it at that, but I want to say, this is not something that me and him and I go back and forth on, oh, I hate you because you think this. No, Gerard has his thoughts, I have mine. But the facts are the facts, and the truth is the truth. And I don't give a fuck about your feelings when it comes to the facts. Sorry, go ahead.
And what I'm saying is basically like this. When it comes to Vince, he's employed thousands of people, thousands. He's contributed to the United States way of capitalism. People make money, people get employed, people buy houses, cars, a lot of stuff because that guy helped people do it. And you know what? Those people worked their asses off to do it for that man. Not because everybody respected him. Okay? Because in the wrestling business, you're not always going to get things done your way. At the end of the day, it's still a job. You don't have to always respect your job to work where you work. If at the end of the day, you see, just because it's not your vision, doesn't mean you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. A lot of people that ever worked for him who got angry with him, stuff like that, couldn't see his light. It's not his job to make you see his light. You work for him. He doesn't work for you. Just like in any company. Your boss tells you to jump in a pile of shit. Unfortunately, whether you like it or not, unless you want to quit the job or get fired, you got to jump in that pile of shit. That's the world we live in. And as long as he's paying me to jump in that, how much do you want me to jump in it for? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 50. I'll jump in it all day if you need me to. But that's what you're paying me to do. People who seem to have a problem with the business side of him making that kind of capitalism experience for a lot of people to happen. Remember, people, this guy started with maybe 10 employees. 10. The first one was Howard Finkel, employee. He had independent contractors working for him. One individual who stayed with him, who came over from his father, helped him build the company that it was today, and had enormous amounts of admiration for the man. You don't, and when you admire somebody, you do everything you can to protect them. You don't go out of your way to hurt them in any way, shape, or form. And for other people to be talking about certain situations, they need to start taking their head out of their ass and stop speaking from both ends. Know all your facts. Actually be part of the business. You know, let the wrestlers make you one of them. Don't ever try to become one of them. Let them make you one. You'd be a lot more happier. But when you spread your lies for clicks and followers and stuff like that, and you tell people, I do none of this for the money, and then turn around and say, but all the money I make on it is put back into the show.
But let me say this, Jordan, in that same breath. You say that that said that none of this is done for the money, and actions speak a lot louder than words. We're not ever. I don't ever remember once us saying, subscribe for this information next week, donate for this because it goes back into the show. No, not once. We've never asked anybody to give us a dime. In fact, I've made it clear on other videos, we've never made a dime on anyone else's fucking tragedy. Not once. And if I'm going well back into behind the curtain, this channel hasn't even hit the $100 mark that it takes to actually get any kind of monetization. We haven't even hit $100 in all the time we've been making videos. You have to hit 100. If you know YouTube's algorithm, you have to hit $100 before they send you out a check. Never even come close. You know why? Because this is a passion for us. This is not us sitting in the panhandle of Texas in an old folks' home thinking that we understand the world. We don't. We are fans of a business, and I'm a fan of the truth. My friend here has hit me to some of that truth. And after me and my counterpart doing our research, we have a pretty good idea where we're going. And I think that we have been more credible than most people.
The only thing I dare say to Roland, yes and no. Howard took it to a certain level. Howard took it to a level I don't think will ever be seen again. Other people took it beyond that level. The thing I was saying about Howard Finkel, the greatest announcer when it comes to having that booming voice and saying those words and no, that you'll never have that. Basically, the Michael Buffer effect. When it comes to wrestling announcers, purely longevity, getting over with the crowd, and doing everything you can for the business.
Would it happen to be somebody from Florida?
I would say yes, because he did every aspect of the business.
Would it be someone who happens to announce this podcast?
Oh, absolutely. But I will say, though, I think you should be able to talk to them in the same sentence. I think they're in the same sentence. One for longevity, the other one for pure.
You're going to have to stick around for the end of the show, Roland, as we do our outro. Because don't get me wrong, he does our intro. And if you missed that, I'm sorry. You've been missing some stuff for the last couple of weeks. But at the end of the show, he also does our outro.
But I'm saying is, when it comes to the announcing part of it, and I'll even put it like this. the guy we talked about a couple minutes ago that you showed the video on, if it wasn't for the fact of this happening, he'd be in the top 5 discussion. That's how good he was at his job.
Hold on. You guys know more about McMahon and wrestling than me. I was born in the 80s. So was I, Roland. But it would have been nice if the company had passed down from Vincent J. Kennedy to Shane McMahon. So, and there's a lot to be said about that, Roland. There's a lot to be said about that. There's a lot the Netflix documentary covered that we never did cover, that we were even hip to from them, as far as the relationship. And let's just call it the tumultuous and very, very, very confrontational relationship that was dictated from Shane himself. Like, I go no further than the steak knife incident, right? I mean, that was just rough. It's hard to see that. I have nothing but admiration and love for Shane McMahon for making the decision he did to do the right thing and step away so he didn't hate his father. No different than what Gerard's doing here and now, and what he's been doing since the inception of this podcast and the inception of our friendship, trying to convey the proper narrative, the right thing about being just and fair. I look, Gerard, I said it offline. I've said it to you personally, but I've never said it to you online. It has been a pleasure to know you and learn so much from you, and to finally sit down with somebody, because this, like, the gravity of what people would call the YouTube and the internet wrestling community is very toxic, very toxic. No better case than the gentleman we've been talking about. But you, sir, have been a fucking breath of fresh air. That you didn't go looking for a fucking fight. You came in trying to speak truth. And in fact, when we started doing this, it was basically based on us trying to do something different, something, nice and joyous with fans like us. We were dragged into this, and you will not see me go into the cold, dark night quietly. You will not see my friend Gerard be slandered and taken to a place he doesn't need to be. That's the point of all this. That's the point that we're bringing it up. And when it's done and everything's put to rest, we're going to go back to having a good time, because that's what this is meant to be about. Sorry, again, I go on a tangent, Gerard. I get frustrated.
Well, you're speaking vicariously through Jacob. I understand.
We love you, Jacob.
That was a Jacob rant.
I'm not starting dance corner. You can go fuck yourself. I am the flying jalapeno. I'll leave it at that. You got that. I will be the flying jalapeno.
When I first started talking about this, I never could have imagined this is where it would take me. But, some things get answered, some things get left unquestioned, And the more you look at it and the more you see what goes on with the rest of the online community, it is the online community is more cutthroat than I think the actual business is. Because it's just like with any journalism, who's going to get that story first, right or wrong, good, bad, or indifferent.
And they don't care, Gerard. They don't.
I've said it before. When it comes to criminal cases or civil cases, the person who gets the story out first, everybody else got to debunk that story and fight that story. As long as you get the story out first, because now you got to prove that person.
It's a fucking travesty. The fact that they again. Point blank, when we were doing research, and I told you this, there were some inconsistencies, and you filled a lot of holes. And I go, you know what? That makes a lot of fucking sense. But no one seemed to take the time, because they were already locked, loaded, and ready to fucking go down the fucking avenue that they've already, like, the lights were on. Nobody wanted to take that back path. It's
well, it's like I said, it's one of those things to where when the internet community gets involved. And I'm not saying every one of them is bad.
No.
But the bad somewhat outweigh the good. And the good guys end up having to fight even harder to outweigh the people who will peddle any bullshit you want them to hear without actual facts, verifiable facts.
Exactly. I know one verifiable fact.
I mean,
am I wrong?
Listen, when you come out and say, the first time you ever met Vince McMahon, you were wanted. You had a felony warrant for your arrest note.
That's incredible. That's a credible fucking.
Hey, wait a minute.
Journalist.
And then you criticize the man for being a felon. You criticize.
Well, apparently, it takes one to know one, right?
Right. You know, hey, a bullshitter can always detect a bullshitter.
I'm still pulling feathers off of myself.
Well, you know, maybe she can take the tweezers later and just pluck
You're
it
gonna
off.
have to. You hear that voice in the sky? You're gonna have to clean all this crap off of me because I'm fucking horrible.
Hey, at least you're not itching.
Oh, I'm not bashing Booger. We're not bashing Booger in it yet.
But no, I mean, it's just one of those things. So where I hope people, when they look at a video like that, and they can actually look at it and say, with an objective eye, there's more to this story than we've been led to believe. Okay, we were taken down this primrose path by somebody else. Well,
and the thing, some of that is a fear. Some people are afraid to speak their mind for fear of being vilified. Look, I will gladly be on the side of justice, even if that justice is a long, hard, bumpy road. And if the facts state that what was said and done is true and just, then I respect the hand of justice that says that. But at least be fair in your judgment.
The old saying is, I'd rather be right for the wrong reasons than be wrong for the right ones. You know, that's the way it should go. When you got a compelling story to tell, and you can sell that story, but it's a true story, you shouldn't care how anybody's going to look at you.
My constant frustration is the idea, this constant, if it was a one-time thing, I'd understand, okay, mistakes are made, but it's this constant rewriting and manipulation of the evidence. Again, you have Polaroids. Well, fuck face. I got video. You want information. Oh, but you don't want it from a man over here because he's not spitting your narrative. And you got five guys over here that are saying one thing and another five guys are saying another. You know, come on.
They say a video is worth 1,000 words. What 1,000 words do you have to back up that video? That's to me is, what words can those videos back up? I mean, we just narrated it. So,
my beautiful wife makes a point. Everything has to be vetted in the pursuit of truth. You may not like the outcome, but at least everything has been looked at. Exactly. Again, and I'll reiterate this point, and I think Gerard will be behind me on this. Even if the outcome is not what we desire, as long as it's vetted and we know without a shadow of a doubt that justice has been served. My problem is this one-way street because it's so easy. It's so easy to do this your way. You don't want to take a little time to do it the right way.
Because why? Because that's how people, and for some reason or another, negativity in this world sells a lot better than positivity. And I'm not trying to make John Laurinaitis look like a thing, but the power of positivity, you know, there's something to be said about being positive in this world, and we don't show it enough, except for maybe if our sports teams win or something like that. We're only on this planet, if you want to say, for a certain amount of time, and the way we tear each other down in a constant doing of it, it's okay to have disagreements with people.
Gerard, comes down to this.
It, you know, yeah, it definitely does that. That's definitely
the ugly truth. That's what it comes down to.
But you know, I know I said at the beginning of the show that I was going to have a surprise.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because like we're coming into the show here. What do you got for me?
I'm
concerned though because you tell me everything. I thought you did.
If you don't mind.
Hi, good evening. This message is for Gerard Mellett Jr. My name is Nikki. I am Mel Phillips' niece. Excuse me. Just found out about a letter that you sent to my aunt, who is Mel's sister, on tape. When you get this message,
I received this Wednesday.
You tell me?
All of you Marks have been listening to the Marks Podcast on YouTube.